we pop on here.
Says we're live. Give it another second.
Yeah.
All right, we're good.
Hello, Gun Nation. How y'all gentlemen doing this evening?
Give it another second.
Yeah.
All right, we're good.
I hear echoes.
There we go. Sorry about that.
Way to go, man. Hey, doing well. How are you?
I am living the dream. How are you doing, 17?
Just great, man. Just ate a whole bunch of candy, so I'm on a really ridiculous sugar high right now. So
Sweet. And we have our guest this evening, Honest Outlaw. How are you doing, sir?
Doing great. Glad to be here.
Good deal. Glad to have you. So we'll let some more people jump in. I can't see. I guess we got 22 on. So did y'all have a wonderful day today?
yeah, not too bad. Can't complain. I'm alive and breathing, so I'm happy.
6 feet above is always a good thing.
Yeah. No, it wasn't too bad of a day. Work is always a mess, but that's the way it goes at work.
Yep.
I agree.
So what did everybody carry today?
Well, because I went trick-or-treating, I was carrying this little guy right here, which is my Steyr L9, and you'll notice
Oh, yeah.
it is a nice stippled grip. So I'm going to be doing something on that, man. They did a great job, by the way. Flayed Customs guys. If you have a Steyr and you know that the texturing sucks on these guns, but the gun is great, send it to this guy. It's the first Steyr he ever did, and he absolutely did an amazing job. So happy now. Now I'm going to go light this up this weekend.
Now that brings up a really good topic. Since we have that, in y'all's opinion, what do you like better, like grip tape? Like Talons or sandpaper pistol grips? Do you like grip tape or do you like stippling better? Go ahead.
Pros and cons of both, for sure.
You like both?
Yeah, well, I like both for different purposes. I like grip tape for competition because it's got more grip, but you got to replace it a lot because if you grip it real hard all the time, you're going to move it around. It's going to get wrinkly. Eventually, it's going to wear. Stippling is good, but even stippling wears until the point to where it's, if you get really fine stippling, it'll wear really quickly. And if you get wide stippling, it'll wear eventually, but it's never going to be as grippy as grip tape will be.
Yeah.
Or like lock grips.
I've always wondered, and you've got a lot more experience with that. I've never had a gun stippled. 17's got a couple now, or one at least. So I guess two. You did one on your own, and one with.
Yeah. I really wouldn't call that stippling on.
Well, but you did. You did.
More like a disaster in the making.
Hey, you know what? A disaster is better than nothing. But I've always kind of wondered. So if you stipple the gun, and like you said, Honest, it's going to wear over time, depending on the type of stippling you get, and depending on how much use. I mean, if you're putting 1,500 rounds a month or 2,000 rounds a month or something, it's you shoot it constantly, it's going to wear down. And then what do you have left? What do you do then?
It's still going to be better than the factory grip, but pretty much nothing. I mean, I don't know. I've only really had, like, my Glock 43 wore down pretty quickly because it was super fine grip. Now it's just kind of a Glock 43. The problem is you can't put grip tape over it now, really, because it won't stick because of the stippling. So.
Yeah, I could see that being obviously a problem. I mean, it's hard to say. Like I've never really had a stippled handgun by a professional. Like I have my M9 that I did, and I did a terrible job on it. But I always thought it felt much better. And then what he did with this, he did the front and the back of the grip and everything else. And I mean, it just feels like it's a perfect combination. It's not too overly aggressive, but it's got enough bite to it where this now feels like almost like a factory stipple job. And to me, this is what the gun really is missing. I've had the grip tapes, from sandpaper pistol grips, from Talon grips, from traction grips. And for whatever reason, I never really liked them. Even, you follow the directions, you put the blow dryer on there, you heat them up and then squish them down some more. But for whatever reason, I always found that they moved too much. And I don't know if it was just me or, my inability to get it done right, but I've never been 100% on the grip tape. So, and then you get a gun like an M&P, the 2.0s, and that texturing on that gun to me is the best of any handgun right now, because it's got that aggressiveness, but it doesn't really seem like it's going to break down anytime soon. But who knows? I don't know how that's going to play out.
I agree with you. I love the M&P. The M&P grip texture is my favorite too. I wish every handgun came with it.
Yep.
Yeah, if I have, like the ultimate for me, of course, if it's a steel gun, would be lock grips. You know, I like the super aggressive lock grips. I don't care for the fine. I mean, I like them, but like the less aggressive ones, the grenades and stuff. I mean, they're fine, but I just like maximum grip. So I'd say that's my number one. But then between stippling and like a grip tape, I prefer stippling. And then, you know, when you go to some of the stipple guys, you can get like some of them offer 3 aggressions. They offer like the maximum, the medium, and then the fine. I always get the maximum because you're going to wear it down. You know, and a lot of people are like, oh, you can't carry with it, you know, because it'll chew you up. But if you have a great holster and you have a great gun belt, you know, your gun shouldn't be flopping around on you. Now it could stick into you, but it's not like it's, you know, you can't go about your day with it. But I prefer the aggressive stippling because you're right. I mean, I have peeled off some and I got the first generation Talons way back in the day. Man, those things peeled off like crazy. And they said, oh, we redid the stickiness or the adhesive. But I haven't tried them since. And the sandpaper stayed on pretty well, but I did end up working it off eventually on the competition gun, that Glock. You know, it started wearing, you know, just, you know, everybody knows where your normal wear spots are, you know, and you're sitting there just gripping the crap out of it. You know, I managed to squeeze some of it off, but, you know, I guess it's however you're going to use the gun and what you feel you need. You know, and I've seen some of Honest where he's got them like wrapped, and you can tell that he's even rewrapped them with some of his grip tape.
Yeah, I'll beat the crap out of them for sure, but I grip really hard, and then they squeeze, they tear, you know, so.
Yeah.
What do you do? I mean, they're not that expensive, though, so if you're only running one gun, say you change it once every 2 years, it's not that bad.
Yeah.
Right? Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And, go ahead.
Well, I was just going to say, I'm sort of, I prefer to be as traditional as possible. If I can avoid any sort of grip tape or stippling or anything like that, and partly because I haven't tried stippling, I may end up changing my mind once I've had it. I mean, that L9 looks pretty awesome, 17. But for me right now, I mean, if I can find guns that feel good in the hand and they lock well enough for me, they don't move for me, that I'm pretty good. I've only had a couple that I've really felt just absolutely needed it, like that S9. That S9 just, I was craving some sort of texture, because even though the gun never actually got out, and I think that's just due to that angle of the grip, I mean, it still sat in there. I felt like it wanted to get out, and that was enough for me to go, it's got to have something else.
Well, I know the rumor mill right now for the Steyr is that the Gen 5 is coming very soon. So, you know, while there hasn't been really any specs on what that gun is going to show, I'm really hopeful that they're going to do something with the texturing on the grip. You know, it's got to have just a little bit more aggressiveness to it. And I mean, yeah, I mean, I've had the guns for almost like 2 years now. And, you know, I've never had that real feeling that the gun was slipping out of my hand per se. But I can definitely see why some people who are used to, you know, using, like, let's say a Glock 19, a Gen 5, or even the, what is that? What is the RTF texturing on the, you know, the, help me out. Yeah. So you look at that, and I mean, that texturing is fairly aggressive, and it doesn't really have much in regards to texturing. Like, you look at a P10, and this thing has these little nubs all over it. And I still think that Glock actually has more aggressiveness to the feel than even this P10. So, I mean, you know, and in regards to wearing it and carrying it, you know, I've run into that hang up with the M&Ps. You know, I cannot wear that gun without some sort of, you know, undershirt or something underneath, because it's just going to eat up my skin. And that's one of the reasons why I kind of went away from that Shield 2.0 or whatever you know, whatever you want to call it. If I was ever going to get a Shield again, I'd probably go back to the first one. Because you can still run it as good as the 2.0, in my opinion, and you don't have that nasty aggressive texture for such a small gun.
Yeah, I think that, you know, Vanessa Kitty kind of brought it up, and I was going to say it too. You know, with the way that they're molding, you know, the polymer pistols, especially, you don't think it would be anything to add the texturing into the mold to make that work correctly. So I really wish, you know, more. Because if some people get it out of the box and they're like, oh man, this is so aggressive. I mean, you can hit it with some very fine sandpaper and knock the edges down if it's too aggressive for you. And you can even do that on the Shield. You know, a buddy of mine did it, but I was like, man, you almost were, you know, he took off too much of it. But that's the way he likes it. So whatever, it's his gun.
Big J, do you mind if we address the Uncharted Truckers comment? I don't know if you saw that, but somebody reached out to me through Instagram saying I should go to Patreon for Mac, and I told them I don't pay to play. You know, I just don't do that. I'm not going to join. But they were saying, I guess he had an M9, And I guess the gun, according to him on the Uncharted Chucker, he's saying that the gun discharged without him pulling the trigger.
Wow.
I mean, I don't look. I have no idea why or how that happened. I know that my M9 has about 3,500 rounds through it. My L9 has about 1,500 rounds through it, and they've been absolutely flawless. So I don't know what the deal is with that.
Yeah, I wasn't even aware of it, but I've never had any issues with mine. What about you, KS?
No, I've had nothing but great experiences with them. I've never had a failure of any sort or another. It's been flawless. Now I've not ran the threaded with a can yet, and I need to do that. I haven't had time to do it, but I'd like to try and see how it runs, because some guns are a little finicky about a can and all the pressures that build up in the chamber. But I've had nothing but good luck with it, and Steyrs have wowed me quite a bit.
Yeah,
and there, I haven't had any problems with mine either.
Yeah, and the Armsman brought up something, he enjoys decent stippling. However, for resale value, some people really knock the stippling. But, the way that I look at it is most of the guns I don't get rid of, or if I know that I'm not permanently going to get rid of a gun, or even in a modular case, like the Steyr, if you're able to get another frame, or like the P320 or something like that, you could have a frame that doesn't have any stippling and one that does have stippling, because I know a lot of competition, or some competitions, won't allow a modified gun at all, even with stippling. It's well, they call it what is ours called? It's like it's not carry optics, but it's the World of Guns. They really want them as stock as possible. So other than sights, they will let you have different sights, but whatever.
Now, if you can get frames, whether it be like a P320, or a lot of times you can go on, I don't know if it's eBay anymore, but a lot of places, and you can find Gen 3, Gen 4 Glock frames. If you can find a blank polymer 80 that's not already textured, I mean, this one it's pretty rough, but if you can find blank frames, or frames that are just throwaways. I've got a buddy at Centerfire that works there. He picked up 3, I think it was Glock 17 frames for like $80. It was just some dude was selling them, and he picked them up. And if he wanted to practice stippling and just try some things out, he's not out hardly anything. And why not give it a try? So there are some luxuries to having alternative frames to be able to practice and hone the craft and just kind of play around with.
Sometimes the problem. Go ahead, Honest. Go ahead.
Oh, I get mine off Gun Broker and off Glock Store and stuff like that. And that's why, like, you see in my videos, like, all my Glocks always look butchered all the time because I like them a certain way. But I would never do that to another gun because the lowers just aren't readily available. Like, I would do it to a P320 or anything that has like a module in it, But as far as doing that to like an M&P where you can't find the frame, that's risky. I mean, because the value for most people, that's one of the worst things I ever did was getting into Dremel guns. I probably lost thousands of dollars on resale value from that, but I got them just how I like them.
Yeah, and I think when you're doing something like that, you really have to think carefully. Like, and this is going to bring me to a question I have to ask Honest when we're done with this. You have a gun, you always got to think, if you're going to sell the gun, then obviously don't do anything. Like, there's certain guns that I absolutely will not sell. So for me, I look at it from the standpoint of improving the gun for me. You know what I mean? So like, if I buy a gun and I know like I would never probably keep it, and I just want to be able to shoot it, have it for a little while, spend some time with it, cuddle it, and maybe sing it lullabies at night, I'll do that. And then ultimately I know I'm going to get rid of it. But with the Steyrs, I love them. They're not going anywhere. That M&P 2.0 compact that I did all that stuff to is going nowhere. So I think you really just have to think about which are the guns that you're never going to get rid of. Unless of course you had to at some point, which kind of brings me to a question I have for you, Honest Outlaw. And the question is, it's kind of for everybody to answer, but you obviously do a lot of videos. You obviously have, I think, a different gun for every day or hour of the day. And my question for you, because I got plastered about this, and my question for you is, how do you do it? Like, do you buy guns knowing that you're just really there to test it out and maybe just shoot the hell out of it for a little while, and then you're going to move it? Or are these guns that you're just going to buy and keep forever? Like, I just want to know what you do.
A little bit of both. Most of the time I buy guns for myself, like which guns I think I'm going to like, what guns I think I could compare to other guns that I like. Sometimes I'll put like stuff on Instagram, like, should I buy this gun or this gun, and let my viewers decide. But for the most part, I'm just continually buying and selling guns all the time. And the ones I really, really like, I'll keep, you know. But it's pretty rare that I find something that I like better than the classic Glock or 1911 or something like that. And those are the ones that I usually, you know, like my CZs or something like that. But for the most part, I buy guns just that I think are really cool. Because if I don't think they're really cool, I won't have fun testing them. And then, you know, but I like everything. Like I like all kinds of guns. I like Barrett 50s. I like pocket 22s, whatever it may be. So whatever piques my interest at the time.
Gotcha. Okay.
Nice.
What about you guys?
You know, I mean, you guys know, and we've talked about this before. I like to try as many guns as possible. I mean, that was kind of an objective with the channel that I set out kind of from the start. I mean, I had a couple of goals in mind, and that was one. I want to experience as many as I can possibly do. With no end game in mind and no time frame or anything like that, whatever I can come across, whether it's new or used, as long as it fits within the budget. And oftentimes that budget means I have to sell something else because money doesn't grow on trees here, you know, bills to pay and that sort of thing. And so for me, my collection, if you look at the collection at the beginning of the year, the mid-year, and the end of the year, every year, it's completely different. Now, things are changing a little bit. I am keeping more guns, and I'm keeping more than I had really anticipated because there are some like the Shadow 2, like the TSO. I mean, some of these guns that all of a sudden I've discovered, and I'm like, I can't get rid of these. There's no way. I absolutely love them. And even though the Shadow 2 sort of grows on trees around here, the TSO absolutely doesn't. And so it's kind of like, you know, I want to keep them, but that's also a sacrifice, you know, because that's a chunk of change right there, and that means that's less money that I'm free to do other things with. So I have to make tough decisions. I mean, I'm kind of looking around now. I'm like, okay, what do I need to walk away from? I mean, I just sold a couple over the last month, and there are a couple more that I have my eye on that probably need to go. And you know, it also has to do with what I'm focusing on. Right now, I'm kind of into Glocks, you know, like the 45 and the 19 MOS Gen 5 and that sort of thing. I'm having a great time with them, the Polymer 80, all that kind of stuff. And so my attention is a little bit on that stuff. And so the collection tends to bulge a little bit with Glocks. And then I'll realize in 3 months, okay, I'm kind of tired of that. They've run their course. I need to get a couple out the door and move on to the next thing. I mean, Bald made a great point. I don't want to do too much to my guns because it affects the aftermarket sale. And that's exactly right. I mean, all the parts that I put on my guns, for the most part, I can pull right back off and I can save them for another day. So that's kind of my philosophy on it.
Well, because before I go, we had a question. They're wanting to know also, like, what's your favorite gun? So, Honest, what's your favorite gun right now? You can only pick one.
I didn't hear you. Sorry.
I said, before I say what I was going to say, there was also a question, you know, you went through which guns and all that stuff, but what is your favorite gun right now?
Oh, easily the Shadow 2.
Okay.
That's my favorite gun. For sure.
All right, KS, what's your favorite gun?
If you held a gun up to my head, the Shadow 2.
Okay. All right. I buy guns to keep. I don't really buy them just to make a review or because, you know, I don't do that. I buy them for my collection and what I enjoy. If there's a gun that I'm looking at and I'm just like, okay, you know, I'm not really into it, you know, I don't consider it unless it's just like some stupid price where I know I could buy it, maybe shoot it a little bit, sell it and make money. And I've ran into some of those before, but that's the only reason I would grab those. But that's kind of my philosophy on it because I'm not just a gun guy. I'm also a collector, you know, ones that I really want in my collection. And probably my favorite gun right now is the Shadow 2. So what about you? What about you, 17?
My favorite gun, hands down, and I know everybody's gonna say Starter. It's actually.
No, did you already do your collection or the first part of the question?
Yeah. I mean, it's,
okay.
It's fine. It's fine.
Okay.
Mine absolutely 100% is anything that says P01 on it.
Okay.
I love both my P01s. They just work really well for me. Ergonomically, they're great. They shoot really well. You know, one day if I ever have a lot of money, I'll probably get it all, you know, just jazzed up by you know, Cajun Gun Works, but I don't have that kind of bread to spend on that gun. And you know, it shoots really well, man. I mean, it's just really good guns. So I love the P01 series. Love them.
And, did you bring it up that point? I haven't shot my P01 in honestly probably 6 months or maybe longer. And so I went and kind of revisited this weekend where I shot Humble's P01 Omega versus my standard P01. And, when I was shooting it, and it doesn't fit my hand perfectly, but it's not bad. And, I was shooting it other than the damn finger thing, but that's a whole different deal. But I was like, you know what? This thing actually feels pretty good in my hand. And that was I'd shot 2 rounds before I started the video. I was like, oh, I probably ought to do a video on this, and I hadn't even shot his yet. So hadn't even shot the Omega. So those were kind of the first shots out of a true Omega P01. And then as you notice in the video, I hit the freaking decocker because on the Omega, the decocker's kind of higher and it's in a different area. And man, that really got into my hand quite a bit. So I hit the decocker and I was like, what the hell? Why isn't this thing? And it actually it was in between decock. It hadn't gone all the way into decock. So I was like, I don't know if that'd work for me, with the mitts. But they both shot really well considering I haven't shot them in so long. So I couldn't believe it. And I did have to alter the gun a little bit with those Cajun sights, but I think I got it figured out. So I'll probably put the 85 combat trigger in it, the flatter trigger, and maybe just roll with that and see how I like it. But enjoyed shooting them. So it was something definitely different that I hadn't shot in a long time. So, but I do have some questions now. Have we missed any good questions? I'm sorry. I want to make sure we pay attention to to the family over in the chat room. Got some great YouTubers over there and some other ones. And also, if you haven't subscribed to everyone, and honest, please subscribe to everyone. We definitely enjoy y'all being here. But I've got a couple of questions for y'all. And, this has been asked. I've been asked this a lot of times, even by other YouTubers. And I wanted to kind of throw it out to y'all. And, of course, the chat can jump in, too. Do you, if you do videos, for the people in the chat, if you do videos, do you do a lot of political videos about your views or your opinions? Or do you just kind of stay, kind of keep to guns or gear or something like that? What's your opinion? Would you want to do more political videos or not really? Go ahead, Honest.
I don't know. I mean, I do as many as I feel like I am capable of doing. I'm not a super political guy, but I believe that you have to be at least a little political to keep your rights these days.
Yep.
So I try to set a decent example, I guess. I think that if everybody did a few here and there, it would probably be better. But I wouldn't say I'm the best spokesperson for that because I don't follow it as much as I should. But if I hear something crazy or if I hear something that I know that I think is wrong, I'll do a video about it for sure. I mean, the views don't matter as much as the cause, I would say.
Yeah. K17?
I've done a couple of things in the past, and usually it becomes, people getting angry and calling you names because they don't share your political views. And, I mean, I think you're right, honestly, that, we're gun channels for the most part. So, of course, there's politics that are intertwined with that, especially now. So I don't think a lot of times there is a choice. I mean, honestly, I think for a small channel like myself, and I guess at least 2 out of the 4 of us on this panel, it's hard because as soon as you put that politics out there, you can easily lose people. I mean, honestly, I'd like to talk more politics, maybe in a live stream, but obviously not with this group because I know that, we've talked about that in the past. But for me, I would do it because I like talking about it, and just picking out news stories and talking crap about it. But I don't really think that's a bad thing. I think that's a good thing.
KS, what about you?
I made a choice to keep the politics separate from the channel. I stick to guns and gear, and I try to keep it as audience friendly as possible. So welcoming of anyone of any affliction, any view, any temperament, any whatever, because it keeps me focused, even though I've got my thoughts and my views and that sort of thing. I mean, I would go perhaps as far as saying, support the Second Amendment, support the military, things like that. But beyond, supporting the things that we believe in and supporting the people that keep us safe and free, I don't think I'd go any further than that. And that, again, that's a personal choice just to keep things as even keeled as I possibly can. And I'm not really fond of inciting riots in the comments beyond, and if I could only have one that might be a little bit controversial, and I've had a couple of those, but that's a good conversation for the most part. That's okay, but not so much anywhere else. I like to keep it plain and simple.
Yeah. Well, before I start, please everyone go vote. That's a big deal. So let your voice be heard. That is, I definitely want to throw that out there. But yeah, it is. I've heard, or people have sent me emails. People have sent me private messages and all that, and said, this Texas is doing this, Texas is doing that, or California is doing this, California is doing that. One thing that I always do, and I've always told in my videos, write your congressmen, email them, blow up the White House phone. I mean, literally not blow it up, but call. Just do your part on it. But as far as me, jumping out there, and I've, said, hey, go vote, protect your Second Amendment rights and stuff like that, and don't outlaw bump fire, because then they're going to come for something else, the stocks. But, as far as just being way out there or just starting to do political and stuff like that, some people can take it differently. If I do a gun review, they could, look at the gun review, like it, maybe go on to a different thing, and then all of a sudden I'm going off on something else, And some people might say, I like his gun reviews, but I don't believe his political belief, because I'm the other way. I want to try to get more people into guns. And sometimes I think if I really came out and really said what I thought, that it could scare some of the people that could come to our gun side away. So that's why I don't go too political. I want to try to keep an even kill. And, for people that are doing political videos, do them. Hey, all power to them. And I watch tons of them. I try to support everyone I can. But I just try to keep it even. That's just kind of my opinion on it. But yeah, well, anyway, we've talked about it on our chats before too, and we've caught some flack for it and not caught some flack. So it's just, I just whatever you believe in or whatever you choose to do on your channel, please do it.
Can I ask you guys a quick question, if you don't mind, Jay? What is the most controversial video you've ever made? In other words, the one that absolutely people, want to go find your parents and murder them, or something like, just because of what you did, they just hate you because of it. What is the most controversial video you guys have ever done?
Wow.
I've got a couple, and I probably have bigger videos than maybe you guys do. So I get some death threats on pretty much every video. But I would say, I don't know, the bullpups suck video. I ended up taking that down because I just got so many people, mostly from other countries. But I would get emails and all kinds of stuff. Some of it was funny, but
that's great.
Yeah, I mean, once you get a little bit bigger, you got to ignore that stuff.
Yeah.
There's always going to be a certain percentage of people that hate your video, and that percentage is going to stay the same percentage. It's just going to grow with your channel. So I would say probably HK guys get really upset, or any AK video I've ever made. I get a bunch of people giving me shit about that too. Calling me like terrorist and all kinds of stuff.
Yeah.
What about you, KS?
I've got two that come to mind that stirred the pot a fair amount. And again, keep in mind, no political views, no nothing. But the 6R P320 RX, when it returned from SIG after the upgrade, because I didn't really care for it very much. I'll tell you what, we make fun of Glock fanboys, so to speak. They got a lot of pride in Glock, no doubt about it. And I've got some pride in Glock as well, so I kind of get that. But don't step on a SIG person's toes, because they will say all sorts of things. So they'll come out of the woodworks. Thankfully I stayed pretty even keel on the 365. I didn't want to be on the wrong side of that one either. So that one certainly caught a fair amount of flack, and the thumbs down definitely shows that a little bit. And then of course the Hudson, I caught a lot of thanks and praise for being honest. And I caught a lot of you're full of it, and you didn't do this, and you didn't do that, and you suck, and a lot of those choice name calling sort of things. So there were some pretty fascinating comments in there, and there were certainly some comments that had to go. So just in the interest of keeping it clean.
Yeah, I have two videos, and I've got more than that, but I have two that are pretty funny. One was the Canic recall, and it was like on the TP9 essays, and it was a voluntary recall, but you had to pay to send it to them. I got the letter, pretty much in the video, I read the letter real quickly. And, I said, that's pretty ridiculous that you have to pay to send your own gun in to have it, updated. But it was a voluntary, update, I guess you could say, not truly a recall. And man, people lit into me, because I said, I think that's ridiculous that you have to pay. The company should pay to receive the pistol back and do their upgrade to it. And people just lit it up. And it was the Canic, fanboys that were like, oh, well, I've had my gun and I'm not, going to climb around on the ground, and I'm not a tactical guy, so I don't have to worry about it. You're full of crap for worrying about it. And they didn't get the point. The point is you shouldn't have to pay to send your gun back to have it fixed properly. Sure. That's where I was going, but they took it the wrong way. And then the other video was not even my video. I was in the video, and it was Harry's video of the 365. It was when Harry and I went to my shooting range, and I was about to shoot it. I was literally about to shoot it. I went out, drew out, and boom, the firing pin broke. I mean, right when I pulled the trigger, the firing pin broke. So I never even got to shoot it. And people were like, you don't know how to shoot. And I'm like, I never even got to shoot the damn gun. And, I guess because when I kept trying to get it, I was pulling it. So I was dipping the trigger, I was just dry firing it basically, but I was dipping the nose. And they're like, you're dipping the nose. You're anticipating recoil. And I was like, the damn gun never even went bang. So, I mean, people, it was just crazy. You can't shoot. You don't know what the hell you're doing. You didn't break y'all. Oh, and then it was, we set the gun up for failure. It was all kinds of stuff, but it was not even my video. And Harry was forwarding me these comments, and it was like, look at this one. I mean, it was just crazy. I thought it was hilarious. Yeah, I guess I broke it with my ape hands.
You did.
Yeah.
Do what now?
You did. You totally broke it. It was sabotage.
Yeah. Well, and what's funny is there was a video that I did, and I was going to put it on my channel of what I thought about the gun. And we filmed it, and it would have been really bad. The fanboys would have came out of the woodwork if they saw what I did to the gun after it broke on that video. So it was bad. Harry was like, are you sure you want to post that? And I was so mad. I was like, but it wasn't my gun. So I kind of realized, I was like, I don't think I can post this because it's not physically my gun.
Hey, so we're on the topic of this, and I carry my revolver in single action. Just said I got over 275,000 rounds through my Glock 19. Not one malfunction, and it's never been cleaned. Yeah. So that I'll tell you what. Revolver, and so being a content creator, you start to get an appreciation for some pretty wild and wacky comments that come across, and some of which are just you don't even know. I mean, it's like somebody came down, they're an alien. It's the first time they've tried typing words. I mean, they make no sense, and you just kind of chuckle at those. Hey, thanks. But there are some where people will really come on, and it'll be a brand new gun to the market, like this, the Canic Elite Combat, right? It's brand new. It just came out. I guarantee if I put out a video this week, there will somebody that said, I picked mine up 3 months ago. It's got 5,000 rounds. It's totally flawless. And I used to kind of call them out on that. Dude, this gun won out, man. How did you do that? But now anymore, just kind of, oh, that's great, man. I'm glad it's running for you. But you'll get people that claim some of the wildest and craziest things that you just sit back and go, you really put 15,000 rounds a month through your, whatever, ridiculous firearm it is.
Your LCP2.
Well, I mean, it's like, really, I mean, maybe you do. I mean, what do I know? I don't want to call somebody a liar, but I kind of think, really, why did you say that? I mean, do you guys get some pretty crazy comments?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
This whole weekend I got them.
All that.
Yeah.
I get a lot of the Navy SEAL stuff too. I'm a Navy SEAL. I've 40 years in the military. I'm only 25. I can shoot 300 yards, with my left hand. You get all that stuff.
He can shoot 300 yards with a gun up his ass and his blindfolded with his hand down.
Oh yeah, and what's really, and I know y'all have gotten them too, but I'll shoot 15 or 20 yards, and I'll shoot a group on a paper plate or something, and I'll like 15 yards, and I'll bring it in, and I'll get the same ones. Oh my God, I can't. I shoot better than that. At 50 yards or whatever. And then you go to you're like, okay, well, hey, maybe this guy's a professional shooter. I'll go check him out. And you go over and he's got like underwater basket weaving videos, or some shit like that. And you're like, really?
Call of Duty. It's always Call of Duty for me. Every time I check their channel, it's just a bunch of video game videos, and I play video games. But
that's exactly what I was going to say. Yeah, or they do a bunch of video games. So it's just like, okay, whatever. Go back to your, whatever video game you're playing today.
Or
do you guys get attacked by other YouTube channels? Does that ever happen? You guys ever get attacked by other gun channels?
I have once.
One time. I get that like once a month because I'm a little brash and I have like opinions, like I don't keep it very neutral and I can be kind of an ass. But yeah, I get that sometimes. That makes me sad because I've like never went over to another YouTube channel and left like a hateful comment, so I don't.
I usually get told by people who, when you like Big Johnson said, I make videos that I like to do. Like I want to make a video on, if I want to take one gun and make 400 damn videos on it, I'm going to do it because that's what I want to do. And I love when people feel like it's okay. Oh yeah, well, you suck because all we ever see is this thing, but it's like, okay, what are you producing? What are you making? Like, what is it that you're trying to contribute to this, and, I think it's sort of, I don't know what it is, to be honest with you. I think it's just people unfortunately feel that, they have a right to bash you just because they don't agree with what you're saying or what you're doing. And I don't care. I mean, you want to criticize my channel. That's fine. No problem. You have a right to turn it off. You have a right to not subscribe or unsubscribe. And I'm never going to tell you that you should stay. I mean, I appreciate everybody who stays, but you don't have to. But I think a lot of times people don't realize that, there is some thought that actually goes into this.
Well, I like criticism too. Like if people would pop on and like give me advice on something or correct something I got wrong, I absolutely love that because that's how you learn. But like there's a way to do it and there's a way not to do it. And you effing moron, this and this and this, you know what I mean? Like that's probably not the way to get somebody to listen to you.
Right. Or if you, I did and Bretta fans are pretty sticky too. I will tell you, Sig fans might be a little bit worse, but Bretta fans can be pretty touchy. So I did the videos on the Storm and my Storm video, I was impressed and I felt like it was a positive video. And I, although I didn't champion it, didn't say it was the greatest thing since Velcro, I still said it was a great gun. I understand why people like it. And I've had more than one person come back and say, you were absolutely wrong on this. It's the best gun in the world and all this kind of stuff. And I'm like, dude, dial it down a notch. I said it was a good gun. If somebody watched my video, they wouldn't walk away going, God, that gun must suck. So I've never really understood that. But I did get attacked by one channel, and I won't mention the channel's name, a smaller channel. And this was, I've done some single stacks. I'm a fan of single stack firearms, and not everybody necessarily shares that view, so to speak, and that's fine. But I had one guy, this other channel guy, come on, and he ripped me apart. I mean, he wrote this monologue. I mean, it probably took me 5 minutes to read, and I can read. And so he left this huge thing, and it was, you should never carry single stacks. They're the worst thing in the world, all that kind of stuff. And I went over and checked out his channel, and he didn't have a bad channel. Actually, he was a pretty smart guy. I mean, he had a lot of good knowledge on there, but all he had was a Glock 19 over and over and over and over again. And I'm not saying that's bad. That is not a bad thing. If you like your Glock 19, rock on, brother. But it's okay to widen the scope, or at least realize that other people like other things. It's kind of that you can look real narrow, or you can have a real wide sense of view. And that was kind of one of those deals. And I made the mistake of debating him in the comments. And I've learned over time to really not get into debates. If I feel like it's the kind of comment that could take me down a really dark, weird road, I'm trying to get better about just thanking him with the, hey, thanks for your time. Really appreciate you sharing your point of view. Cheers, or something like that.
Thanks for watching. Carry on.
Yeah, just let it go, because sometimes people really they will come back and they will keep gouging you as much as they possibly can because they've got your attention, right?
And, well, see, when I'm at work, sometimes I do that. Like I'll argue with people in the comments because I'm kind of a troll too, and I like to have fun. And on your channel, you can delete their comments and just put as many as you want. So you already have like a huge advantage.
It's true.
Yeah. Or, if they leave some really smart ass crap, then I'll go ahead and, say, hey, I can't have a meeting of the minds with an unarmed man. And then I'll send it to him. And then all of a sudden, boom, delete channel or delete their crap.
Yeah, I got a lot of crap from people, you know, going back to that video thing. So I got a lot of crap from people on my CCP video, which apparently wasn't politically correct for all the CCP owners out there. But I still will say it. That gun is the biggest piece of shit that I've ever shot in my life. If you like it, God bless. But I would not give that to my worst enemy to use as self-defense. And they're a new and improved one. I mean, it's the same damn gun, people. All they did was take out that stupid tool, and now you have a little switch on the back. So let's see how many rounds you put through that before that breaks. And then the other one that I got a lot of crap on, which was kind of funny. It was actually kind of funny comments. It was my P07 P10 video where I said, with that being said, at least 157 times on that video.
I do remember that video.
Yeah, and I've kept it up. It has like 32,000 views. It's the shittiest video I ever made, and I just still get comments saying, "Hey, every time he says it, with that being said, let's all take a drink." So there's a lot of drunk people out there, courtesy of me. So you're very welcome for that.
Okay, since we're kind of on this subject, what about on your videos? How many times? And I'm sure y'all get it too, but how many times have you had someone reply like, "You have too many guns. It's ridiculous. What the guns you have." Have y'all had those comments before too?
Oh yeah, yeah.
I mean, I've had them like this long, saying you only need one rifle, you only need one shotgun. All the guns that you have are ridiculous. That's or I had one guy say 3 of your guns or 2 of your guns cost more than my car, and I was like, well, you drive
get a lot of crap for expensive guns. Like if you put an expensive gun video up, you're going to get a lot of people that get upset with you. Yeah. And I understand that, but in the same token, there's certain people that want to see that review. Like, let's say there's a $3,000 gun you're really looking at. I would want to watch 20 videos on that gun before I decided to spend my $3,000. So yeah, and that's the hardest thing about being a gun reviewer is trying to be as non-biased as possible. Like I have my biases, like everything else. Like for one example, like I hate the SIG P320, but I know it's a good gun. It's got lots of problems, but I hate shooting it. But I know that people would like it, so I have to try to see the good in it while still giving my personal opinions, but not trying to pretend like it's gospel, because everybody's got different opinions. Like I love 9mm 1911s, but most people don't. So you just gotta, you gotta try to be as objective and logical as possible.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't. I really don't get a lot of people saying you have too many guns or anything. I think people have kind of come to realize that it's just a review channel. I'm going to have different guns. And they're going to be different guns. Not every single video. I mean, I'm certainly going to bring some back or whatever, but they're going to be new guns, at least a couple a month. And some are T&E, some aren't mine, some are borrowed, some are mine, whatever. And I try and talk about that, but it's the people here that give me more trouble than anything else. And it's because you guys are all my friends and I'm talking everybody in the audience and everything, because you guys keep me honest. But I don't get a lot of that, thankfully. And I think it's just, hopefully I've set up the channel to have a certain expectation, and that seems to work pretty well.
I get people actually complaining I don't have enough guns. Like they just tell me I do the same shit over and over again. And I'm like, okay, well, send me what you have. I'll test it. I'll send it back. I'm an honest guy. You're going to get it back. I had someone send me their Shadow 2. Yeah, I mean, that Archon from you, man, I'd love that. But unfortunately, we're not big people here in New York State, so we can't have anything bigger than 10 rounds. So unless they take another magazine, I mean, do they take Glock mags? I mean, is it just strictly proprietary?
Yeah, just proprietary mags.
Yeah.
Have you guys had good experiences with any guns from viewers? Because I have personally. Like I've taken a couple of guns from viewers, and it's always been a really good experience for me.
Yeah, I mean, the only way I ever got a chance to shoot a Shadow 2 is because I can't afford one. I have a wife and 2 young kids, guys. I mean, I just don't have that kind of money. And I had Sandpaper Pistol Grips send me his Shadow 2. And he was awesome about it because, there's a long wait here in New York State. I can't just go back in and get my gun. I have to wait for a judge to sign off on it, which is the most idiotic thing you can think of. So he waited, I think, almost 6 weeks to get it back. But when I sent it back, awesomely enough, Renaissance Firearms made a holster for him, and I sent that with it, and I cleaned it up really nice. The thing looked like it just came out of the showroom. But I truly appreciated that because that was an awesome experience that I would not have had otherwise.
Yeah, that is so cool that people do that. I mean, that's such a big risk, like sending somebody an expensive item for them to test and then hopefully send back. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm always amazed by that, and I always really appreciate people who do that because those people don't really get anything out of it. It's the other viewers of the channel get to see a gun they wouldn't have seen before. So, I mean, all in all, I think that's an amazing thing that people do, and I'm still amazed that people do it.
Oh
honestly.
yeah. I was shocked. I was shocked when he offered it. I was like, sure. And even Steve Lemieux, who's on the chat, he offered me his Caracol, but I guess he had to send it back because he had some problems. They're going to replace it, but they haven't sent it to him yet. And then he was bragging to me the other night. He was texting me saying, "I just bought my Archon." I'm like, "You son of a bitch," you know. So maybe if he has that same generosity, he can send that to me. The magazine thing, we could figure it out. Let's put it that way.
Does anybody else have an Archon here? Do you have one, Big Johnson or KS?
No. KB has one. Coda Boy has one.
It's on the way. I was hoping it would be here this week, but I don't think it is. I'm on the second whatever wave that's supposed to come across. Centerfire is supposed to get 3, so I'm on the list for one, and I'm really excited now. The Elite came in, and this sort of has my attention right now. By the way, it's a pretty freaking cool gun, but I'm excited for the Archon. I really want to give it a try.
Mine was the most unreliable gun in history when I first got it, and they fixed it with the striker spring, and I cannot get that thing to malfunction now. So I mean, I don't know if it's still worth the price because it's still expensive. It's still heavy, but it shoots really well for what it is now. And now that I have it, I'm happy about it. But I'm surprised at how quickly I can shoot it. That's why I'm kind of mad about it, honestly, because I want to hate it after it sucked to begin with, and then I had to send it back. But now it seems like I'm starting to like it a little bit.
Nice. I'm excited.
Yeah, I'm going to need to start growing a ammo tree in my backyard, or a couple of ammo trees, because I'll tell you what, that PCC, that American Resistance gear, man, that thing is freaking fun. God, that thing is fun. Man, I that day, I took 480 rounds with me, and I ended up coming home with like 6 rounds in the bucket. That's all that's left. I mean, I just blew through. Now, I did shoot some pistols, but it was probably 80% that PCC. That thing was so fun.
This is geared to Honest because he has the gun, and getting on that Strike B, I don't want to spend too much time on that because then we'd just be killing time. But you obviously have shot it quite a bit. You have a lot of experience with it. My question is, do you really think that it's worth $800? Because I mean, the 2 flattest guns I own, the M&P 2.0 compact is just ridiculous. I mean, that gun is like a freaking laser beam. And then of course the Steyrs are just flat as hell. The P10 is a great shooting handgun. And I mean, none of those guns, I mean, I could buy 2 of them for the price of one Archon. And I just wonder if it's really worth it, because like you said, you're doing a review that, let's be honest, most people are not going to pay money for that handgun. So they want to see that review and see what you think of it. And then maybe over time they'll save up and they'll get that handgun, or eventually when it comes down in price, they're going to pick it up, But do you really think right now, with all of your experience with that gun, do you really think that price tag is worth it?
Short answer, no, I don't. I mean, not that it's not a good gun. It is. And is it flatter shooting than all the ones you mentioned? I think it is, actually. Wow. I think you can shoot it a little bit faster. The problem that I run into is what do you need it for? Like if I'm going to have a carry gun and I can shoot a Glock 95% as well, but it's 8 ounces lighter, and I don't have to carry that 8 ounces throughout the day. I mean, the Archon's heavy and it's big. For 15 rounds, it's as big as a Glock 17. Mm-hmm. And I don't know where it would fit in my system. You know what I mean? Like if you wanted it and you really thought that you had to shoot like the fastest splits you could with a compact gun for whatever reason, then yeah, maybe that's the way to go. But I just don't see where it fits. I really don't. I mean, it's heavier than a Hudson H9, and I've heard the Hudson H9 shoots flatter, but I haven't shot that.
Wow, really? It's heavier than that, huh? The all steel version?
It's pretty heavy. Yeah, with the magazine in it, I think it was, when I weighed it, I think it was a couple ounces heavier than what it said on the website. I think the website said it was like 29 ounces.
Wow.
Maybe like 31 or something like that. I think a Glock's 24. I know I'm splitting hairs here, but if you carry a gun all day, I liked it to be as small and light as possible while still being capable. That's why I usually carry 26 or 43, sometimes a 19, but, I don't know. I just don't see what it does for me. Now, on the other hand, now it makes me want to try Strike 1 Speed, because I think maybe a full size would be right up my alley.
Yeah. Well,
I don't know if the trigger's going to be the same though.
I sent you that price on that agency Strike 1.
Yeah, I'm not good with that.
Yeah.
I'll spend $1,300,
$3,300.
yeah.
So you mentioned systems. The one thing I always think of when I think of guns like that, or even the Hudson, or some of the other guns that kind of fall outside the fray of what we consider, home defense or carry or competition, or some of those usual buckets that we put firearms in. They're outside of those. They're unusual, but to some people, that's their allure. That's really why they want them, because when you're at the range, I mean, I'm at center fire at least one, maybe two times a week, right? And there will be times where it's pretty full, and I'll kind of look down the line. I'll take a break from what I'm doing. I'll talk to the range master, and I'll just kind of watch and see what people are doing. See them just having a good time. It's just kind of fun to watch, and a lot of times it'll be Glock, 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 revolver, Glock, Glock, AR, Glock, Glock, that sort of thing. And so, when you have something different, that all of a sudden it might, grab a little bit of attention, or people want to talk about it a little bit. It's something different than your neighbors. I think there's something kind of special about that. I mean, I remember bringing the TSO in and those orange handles. It was before I got the KS grips, and people wanted to know what it was. I mean, it would just caught people's attention. And I think some people really enjoy that. I do. I think it's fun. It's fun to have something weird and unusual and kind of different,
Yeah, I get that. And if it was like in the same category, like the P10C versus the Glock is a good argument. Like the P10C is weird, but it still functions the same. It still is the same weight, the same size, the same magazine capacity, or at least on par. Whereas where I think the Archon, that's where it kind of falls off for me, and you're absolutely right. It would be a good gun for a lot of people. Just for me, I like to look at what would be the best in that particular category, and does it hang with what I think is already the best? And if it doesn't, the likability scale goes down for me. Gotcha. Especially if it's more expensive, and the takedown on it, I don't know if it's for everybody, but the takedown on mine is a nightmare. Like the spring is hard to get out, and not to mention it showed up broken, and I had to send it back. And my real problem with that, which I'm going to put in the review, is that I don't know if I was a normal person, like if I wasn't a gun reviewer with a decent following, I don't know if they would have fixed it for me. You know what I mean? Like I heard from a lot of people, especially from the Military Arms channel, that they had problems too, and they didn't address them, at least not near as quickly as they addressed mine. My gun was back in 3 days. Like I don't think you would get that kind of stuff if you didn't have a gun channel.
Right.
So, and I know a lot of background on the company too that I don't love. So there's a lot of things that I'm not really excited about, whereas I might be about the Hudson H9 or the P10C, But yeah, I guess
that's why they call you the Honest Outlaw.
Well,
and thanks, Armin and Axes. You didn't have to do that, but I appreciate it. He threw $2 in there, and we appreciate it so much. But yeah, we're not a pay us chat. We're all about y'all and just doing this for fun. But we do appreciate it. But yeah, we're getting close. We got about 5 or 6 minutes left. What's coming up on y'all's channels? 17 or Honest, you can go first since you're our guest, and just what's going on with your channel. What do you have coming up?
I got a pretty controversial video coming up. I'm going to do the top 5 popular guns that I would never buy. So I'm going to piss a lot of people off with that. And then I got the Arsenal review, or the Arsenal. Yeah. I keep forgetting even the name of the gun anymore. Type B, Strike A, Strike B, whatever. Yeah. But I pretty much did that review on here, but I'll do it again anyway. And I got the Shadow 2 review coming up. But spoiler alert, it's my favorite gun of the year, so it's going to be fairly positive.
Yeah, I bet.
There you go.
Nice.
Cool. What about you, 17?
I'm going to be doing another Steyr video.
REB, you didn't have to do that.
Simple job, man. This came out great, so it's not going to be a long one, but I'm going to do that because the company is awesome. They did a really nice job. Took a little bit of time, but he was telling me that he was having trouble figuring out what he wanted to do with it, because I said basically do whatever the hell you want with it. I don't care. So I'm going to do that. I'm also going to take the P10 out and shoot that for a little bit. It's now my 4th one. I got a lot of crap from that as well, but I had 2 that had constant failures and I just couldn't keep them. So I'm hopefully this has got a couple of nuances that are different from those 2. And I'm hoping that's going to lead to an improvement. I also have this thing that is just sitting here right now. I've got to actually put this on. I know a lot of people are saying, oh, what is that for? The precision stock. You guys are going to laugh. It's actually for my Mini 14. So I don't care. People can hate that gun. I fucking love it. That's all I can say. Such a decent gun for a shitty state like New York, and that's all that matters. And other than that, man, I'm just gonna, you know, wing it like I normally do.
Yeah. What about you, KS?
All right, responding to Keenan real quick. Whiskey is better. Armament and Axes. I agree. I'm a bourbon guy myself. Yep. So a couple of T&E guns. I've got, I don't know if you guys can see these, the TriStar and another Rock Island, the map. 17 did one of these. And I was really curious about it. So we're doing those coming up. So those will be a lot of fun. So far, I've been impressed. And of course, the Canic, I've shown that a couple of times. And then I've been teasing this on Instagram, and I think I showed you guys maybe last week, but my first of actually a couple of Polymer 80 builds. The second one, I've got in parts in a bag right now, but this one's done. And I think I finally have it to where it's reliable. And actually the trigger's resetting now. I've watched like 500 videos on these, and there are a couple of tips and tricks. So I'll go over those in the videos, but I'm excited to show those. So a lot of stuff like that coming up.
Well, cool. Well, what I would like to say before I do the final close is, you know, I appreciate Honest being on. I appreciate you two goofballs. You know, we're a tight-knit group, and we love doing this every Wednesday and sharing our experiences and learning from y'all. You know, we're all a big family here, and it means a lot that y'all join us. And, you know, definitely please go vote. You know, let your voices be heard, and, you know, tune in for that. Also, the Scotsman does have the Ed shirts, you know, to help a brother out. You know, that's a big deal. So please go over and check out his channel, you know, for the shirts to help Ed with his, well, with the funeral arrangements. You know, we've lost C-Max and Ed, and that's big people in our community. So, you know, prayers definitely go out to them. But yeah, I've got reviews that I've been saying I was going to do, but I need to get them done. I've got the Lancer, you know, L30 heavy, and it's a freaking phenomenal gun. I mean, I love it, just holding it and, you know, touching it and rubbing it. I've got
wow, that went too far.
Yeah, well, yeah, but it's a sweet rifle. I've got another rifle on the way, and I've got another one that I haven't done, and I picked up another goodie, so it will be it's pretty exciting. So I've got a bunch of stuff. I've got some gear. I've been testing a bunch of holsters from Acero and stuff like that, so I'll be getting that stuff out. But I always appreciate y'all so much. You know, please hit the thumbs up button. We appreciate it. Also subscribe to everyone on the chat, and these three guys here, you know, they're Honest has a great channel. You know, these other two guys have great channels, and like I said, we just appreciate y'all so much. So, but thank y'all for joining us. If you have any questions, there'll be an after chat. You can leave them, and have a great night, everyone.
Thank you. Happy Halloween.
Carry on. Oh yeah, I forgot to put my mask on. See, I got my mask here.
Oh God.
Yeah, Honest, thanks for joining us, man.
Yeah,
thanks, Honest. We appreciate it, buddy.
Thanks, guys. Y'all take care.
Later.